Alright guys, hello and welcome back to another F1 2021 My Team career mode video. Today we've got the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix in Imola, and straight away looking at the vehicle progress, we are jumping up the order a bit towards the likes of AlphaTauri and Aston Martin, but let's just jump straight into this, and maybe an automatic bad omen for this one. Our powertrain upgrade on the ignition system fails. We ought to get it in before the Grand Prix though, so that won't matter that much, as we've got an event now. It's to improve Schwartzman awareness or pace, and I just thought that he's a bit more down the order now. Should try and get his pace up, as our rear flow underway does come in, so that's good, and so does our ignition system. But let's just jump straight into this Emilia Romagna Grand Prix qualifying in Imola. Let's go. So now we are here on our first lap in Q1 to hopefully get through to Q2 in one single lap, because we're not really looking to go for multiple laps here, just trying to get it done in one. So go through the first chicane and through the second one, have to brake though, so that's not a great start to the lap, but hopefully it's just an ordinary lap we can just jump through to the end of the lap and see what time we can post on the board. As it was a very ordinary lap, although dropping time to George Russell, who's only in P18, so that isn't great. But now, gotta get a good exec. We do kind of DRS open, and across the line it's only 19th. And I'm not very happy with that lap. We're gonna have to go again now in this session with a minute 18 on the board, trying to get myself a bit of distance from the Alpine ahead. But we gotta make sure that we capitalise on this lap, and we gotta make sure that we make this lap work, and we go a lot quicker than we did the last one to get through into Q2, even if we can just scrape it in a P15 or 16, as we have a shaky start to the lap. That's not great, and we're already down 10th, but we do start to make back the time, so maybe, just maybe, we can gain some time on this lap. And we go through towards the end of this one, and we have gained time, about 5 tenths, 4.5 on the exit, and hopefully we can gain a little bit more from our final corner exit and across the line, because I'm not really fancying to draw them out in Q2. We're actually gonna gain 7 tenths of a second there, and are we through to Q2 to maybe have a shot at the top 10 shootout? We gotta hope, and we are. I think we might not be. Sonoda 14, okay, Raikkonen 15, and we get 16th in by 300ths of a second. Schwartzman out in P18, but let's just jump straight in to qualifying 2. So we're here now trying to get a gap to Yuki Tsunoda. I did do one lap on a scrub set of tyres, which is basically just a worn set that I already used in Q1 that doesn't really matter, just to get myself a delta in the top corner, because I think, like a lot of other people in this game, I think I seem to drive better when I know I'm making time. So if you watch that delta throughout this lap, you'll just see it pop up, going from a worn set to a new set with much more grip and much more contact with the surface, as we get a bit shaky through the second chicane and lose all our gained time. And could that be the difference between getting through to Q3, or getting knocked out down the bottom order of Q2? That could be a massive problem for going through this lap, gaining time. Hopefully, we're at about 3 tenths now gained, which isn't great, to be honest. So make our way through the chicane, power down, 5 tenths gained, 6 tenths it's up to now, with 15 seconds remaining in the session, as we've got to get to the line. We've got enough time, we've just got to hope that we've gained enough time. 7 tenths gained this lap. Will that 7 tenths also be enough to get us through? I think it might, you know. I think that was P9 showing up on the sideboard. I hope it was. And it is, and we get through. Just ahead of Alpine's Fernando Alonso. But we jump a few cars, and we get through this session. Bottas, Perez and Hamilton all on the mediums get through. But that's a good Q2 from us. It's down to Q3. I did the same thing as Q2. Drove on a scrub set of tyres. To do that one, we've got 1 lap to make it count. A minute on the clock, but that doesn't matter because we've started our lap. We can't mess this one up, or we are going to be starting today's race in P10, which is not where I'd like to start. I'd like to maybe jump up the order a bit, start maybe towards that P6, P7 spot, in between the Ferraris. If we mess up that second chicane as well this time, it is a hard one to get right with that swooping left hand. As we're now on towards the end of this lap, we've gained about a second in the second part of the lap, and hopefully we can maybe pass up Fernando Alonso, maybe 1 or 2 of the Ferraris, as we are going to come through and only grab P9, I think. But it's a good result considering we finished P16 in Q1. Maybe with a bit of practice we could have been better, but P9, a good starting position. Maybe we can bounce up some positions because of it, as we jump in to this race. 7 laps on the soft to 9 laps on the medium. So we're just going to jump straight into this one. The start in Imola. And it's lights out and away we go, and we get a good phase 1 and not so great of a phase 2 as Pierre Gasly gets a great start, and I probably can't go up the inside like I'd like to, but they part the Red Sea around the outside there, as we can just kind of scone through and make up 2-3 places on Gasly, Leclerc and Sainz, as Lando Norris was buzzed over by his teammate, and we also take advantage of that, and it's a good first lap already, as we are up into P6 using the RS already down to 80%. We'll have to save some later on in this race, so I'd kind of try and keep up to Daniel Ricciardo, but probably to no avail. Thrakamura Raleigh now, and down towards that awkward hairpin, as we have a virtual safety car, and I'm not sure why, but I went back through the replays and I'm pretty sure that it was because Fernando Alonso lost his front wing, as he also comes into the pits this lap as well, and as most AI drivers wouldn't go into the pits on lap 1 unless they had damage. I was looking back to see, but you can see there's a train with an Alpine at the head, and they slither into the pit lane, which is unlucky for Fernando, but that's his race completely gone, unless he can kind of catch up to the pack, but it doesn't look like he's really going to be able to, and that opening lap incident might be completely his race over, as we're having to drop some time here to avoid a drive-through penalty. Now I'm waiting for the green flags to go, and they are a go for lap 2 to resume racing. As I'm now jump forward to lap 3, is Lando Norris gets DRS. Nothing much happened after that VSC, waiting for the DRS period. And I'm not going to fight Lando. He's definitely in a quicker car than us. However, the Ferraris, I think I'll fight, because I don't think they're in an as advantageous position as we are to maybe win this race. I don't think Ferrari have much of a chance in passing us, especially if they're going to fight between them, which it looks like they probably are after these first few laps. But let's just keep going. Gotta defend from the Ferraris, try and catch up to Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo as Charles Leclerc tries to make it side by side through this awkward hairpin, and it was never going to happen for Charles. You're never going to make it through side by side there. No chance there, Charles. No point even trying that one. As we stay ahead of the Ferrari and actually get out of DRS, I think, as Verstappen gets the fastest lap of the race. Can someone maybe challenge him for it? It doesn't look like it. But now, down in to turn 1, Sainz got past Leclerc in the last DRS zone, as he was definitely within 1 second of his Ferrari teammate. And as we approach the pit window in this one, lap 7 is our pit window. Some cars might come in a little bit earlier, not a lot earlier like Fernando Alonso did, but other cars will maybe stay out a lap longer, and maybe the undercut could work here, as we've got a new strategy, and it's to change to lap 9 pit stop. And I thought about it, but I decided to keep with our lap 7, as I was pretty sure that that was the prime lap to go in. So we go through the chicane again. Definitely the most awkward corner on this circuit. When you're driving, it just feels too tight that you're never going to fit your car through there, and that you're not going to make it, and you have to slow down a lot more than you do. As Valtteri Bottas gets the fastest lap, and we keep improving lap by lap as Carlos Sainz is gaining on us in that Ferrari. He goes to the inside, we go to the outside, we give him the space, and we actually touch the Ferrari man, and he almost spins, but he keeps it okay and keeps it pointing straight, and hopefully no damage, as we are having a good old things on fight with these Ferraris down the main straight and into turn 1. But this race was definitely not action all the time. There was definitely duller parts, like now, where there's really not much happening. I can see the gaps, but it just feels like they're too far away to really do anything. You'll see it later as we get into a kind of a trance. We don't do anything, and that should be mostly cut out of this one, as he's gonna get DRS, Carlos Sainz. Very close to not getting it, as Bottas goes even quicker on lap 5 of this race. But now Carlos Sainz, he's probably way too far behind to even try and overtake. And he didn't get DRS, as Leclerc goes past him. So Sainz actually didn't get DRS down that main straight, which has led his teammate back past after they changed the positions around the lap earlier on that same straight, same DRS zone. It's 8/10 to Leclerc, 2 seconds ahead to Norris, and Ricciardo's actually gotten Sergio Perez as well, my fellow Australian, on the grid. He's jumped Sergio Perez in the Red Bull on those medium compound tyres, which we will all jump to in a lap or two's time, as I think Sergio will go a bit longer on those mediums, come in, make his stop for the softs, and then maybe be quicker than everyone else is around the track, and maybe he can gain some positions along with the other medium tire runners, Bottas and Hamilton. It says yellow flags behind me for the Williams. I think it's Nicholas Latifi who is out of this race, and just kind of adds to the chaos of this one. A lot of things happening as Leclerc got it within 4/10 of a second on that straight, as we are almost halfway through this race and we're on our pit-in lap, and I kind of are closing up to Norris and Ricciardo as Perez jumped to Ricciardo, changing my repairing damage to no because of how many times I've been ripped up on this game by not changing it to no through Minerali. And now onto the pit lane, as there's yellow flags down here still for Nicholas Latifi, and we're going to look to see who peels into the pit lane. Ricciardo peels into the pit lane, Leclerc behind me also, as well as I think one of the Red Bulls and one of the Mercedes. Verstappen in, and I want to say no Mercedes in. We got to have a quick pit stop to stay ahead of Charles Leclerc, and his pit stop was actually decently slower, as you can see. Fernando Alonso a long way behind after his early pit stop, but we're going to get Leclerc by a bit of a distance. But you can see Leclerc gets, I think, DRS out of the pit lane, which was weird to me, and he got to close up very closely to my car as we come out onto the medium tyres, and it just kind of looks like one of those races where it's gonna rain but it doesn't. The dark clouds, kind of what the real life Imola race looked like towards that second half once the rain passed. Dark clouds in the sky, it's open at any moment as Leclerc goes for the move. We kind of give him the space, but he touches our back wheel, and Leclerc spun round, and that is very unlucky, as on the mini-map I see Fernando Alonso also hits Charles Leclerc. So that's a massive issue, and Leclerc also gets a 5-second time penalty for that one. Charles Leclerc tipped around as our teammate goes in the pits, but that's a massive crash in this race. Leclerc going for the move in a more awkward spot, less conventional. We leave him the space, but he just taps our back wheel. Maybe a little bit clumsy from both of us, as now we're trying to hunt down some cars, and I see Lando Norris still in the pit lane, and we can jump Lando Norris on exit, which is making me feel really good. And maybe is this a race where the undercut's going to get you well, and we're about to jump a bunch of cars next lap as well, like that Aston Martin, the two AlphaTauris, and the Alpha up ahead, as we currently sit P11, but that should be about P6, P7 when all structure is back in this race, as Lando Norris chasing us down within 3/10 as we jump onto lap 11. Nothing much happened. I said we kind of got in a trance. Tsunoda got behind us in the pit lane. Vettel jumped us on that same lap that we were just on before, but Tsunoda kind of just slowing up and down on the hard tyres. No one able to jump up close to us, and 3 seconds ahead and 2 seconds behind. There's not much to think about as Bottas continues to hold his grip on this race with another fastest lap on his soft compound tyres. And ever since kind of the first bit of this race, it did get a bit dull and a bit boring, as lap 12 turns over P7, which would be a decent haul of 6 points. If we can maybe get one more position, it'd be 8 points, as Ocon and Tsunoda battling, but Tsunoda gets him back through the chicane. That could have been the move for Esteban Ocon that maybe could have unleashed him towards us. And now we jump along to lap 14 with Esteban Ocon finally unleashed from Yuki Tsunoda, and he's gaining on us at a decent rate now. Rate of knots coming on towards us. That trance continued to build until about now, where we started to get closed up on by Esteban Ocon. Sebastian Vettel now 5 seconds ahead. Ricardo and P5 now 12 seconds ahead. But Esteban Ocon shouldn't get DRS this lap. If I can keep him off it at the end of the next lap, we should be okay. He won't be able to overtake us down the main straight on the final lap. And we should be fine enough to chill in our P7 and grab a nice and easy couple of points to add to our driver's tally and our constructor's tally. But the gap looks a bit stagnant now. He's gained, but he's not gaining anymore. Esteban Ocon. It'll probably take a mistake like that for him to gain a tenth or two. But I don't really care if I need to use all my RS to keep him out of DRS. If I keep him out of DRS, I stay in this position and probably get P7 in this race instead of P8, which I think is about 6 points to 4. I think is the difference. P9 is 2 points and P10 is 1 point, or is P8 3 points? I'm not sure. But now on this final lap, I was told there's 1 lap of fuel. I thought that was really weird. I was kind of confused, but it looks like we're okay. We got half a lap of fuel extra, as we're now trying to go down this straight. Esteban Ocon following us. He gets DRS, but he's so far behind that he's not that much of a threat into turn 1. And I should be pretty much okay from here, and that's how I was feeling in the cockpit, is that I'm pretty safe now. I can just drive this one calmly to the finish. Don't make too many mistakes, don't go too slow, and you should be fine. As Esteban does close up towards the end of this race. I reckon had he got himself through that lap, that battle, as Bottas wins this race in Imola. A good drive from the Finn, fastest lap as well, it should be. But as I was saying, I reckon had he got himself through Tsunoda a lap or two earlier, like he tried to do when Tsunoda re-overtook him, he definitely would have had more of a chance of grabbing some more points for his team. As we're going to go through the final corner, put the power down, use the RS, get the checker flag, come across the line for P7 in this race. A decent result, make up 2 places from where we started, and considering our Q1 result, a good result overall. Vettel driver of the day. Fair enough, as we'll jump through to the winners' celebrations. And Valtteri Bottas is your winner today. Lewis Hamilton, P2, Verstappen, P3. Fair enough result. Those 3 are really untouched this whole race, and so was kind of Perez and Ricardo. As Valtteri Bottas, I think, might lead the Drivers' Championship right now. And I think the Constructors is tied as well. So maybe an exciting season to come, like the one in real life, with maybe Bottas getting his fair share of the pie for Mercedes this season. As we'll jump back to, and we can finally sign another sponsor. looking for a good spot to go, looking at weekly income as well. We don't have a rival yet. Top 12 finish is one I could definitely do. I'll take to any of you questions, as you can do that very easily through the race weekend. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and to have a good one. Goodbye.